The article I chose was Advising Psychology Majors About Graduate School in Psychology, Current Practices and Challenges. It talks about graduate school in psychology. The article says that getting help and getting advising regularly is a good way to get accepted into a psychology graduate program. The problem with that, though, is that sometimes the advising isn't as detailed and accurate as it should be. Most schools' advising don't cover everything that an undergraduate should know to be able to get into a graduate program. According to the National Academic Advising Association, for the psychology department to have good advising means that the student should understand everything they need to do to get into the graduate school, and the advisors need to be able to tell the students what they need to do also. This research had the main focus on finding out how good psychology advising in particular helped students understand what they needed to do to be able to get accepted into the graduate program. The researchers did a quantitative analysis and made a Qualtrics survey platform that had questions for department chairs that asked about advising in the psychology department. In the results, it said that 18% of the department chairs didn't know how many students applied to graduate programs. The results also said that 71% of the department chairs participants said that the advising was necessary for psychology students who wanted to join the graduate program, while the rest of the department chair participants said that the education was more important for the students than advising. 20% of the participants said that for students to get advising, a faculty member had to approach them, and 18% of the participants said that they did not know how students got information about applying to graduate school. 85% of participants also said that their department did not have any form of advising. The researchers also did a qualitative analysis in their research. They asked the department chairs what was causing the fact that there wasn't enough advising. The four main categories in the department chairs' responses were that students didn't put enough effort or initiative to get into graduate school, the students didn't have the time to go to graduate school, the students wait until the last minute to look into graduate school, and that some students have no interest of going to graduate school. The results of this research show that the American Psychology Department has to provide more advising on graduate programs, that something should be done about the lack of advising for students to join graduate school. I chose this article because I found it very interesting. I myself hadn't thought about graduate school because of how much it costs. I was unaware of all the things students had to do to be able to get into graduate school before I read this article, though. This has impacted my professional future because I always thought that if I ever changed my mind about graduate school, I could just get in with no problem. Reading this, though, I did not know that there were so many requirements to be able to get in. I thought that teachers should teach their students I think that teachers should teach their students about graduate school requirements. This article helped advise me to look into graduate school because it says that psychology majors that finish graduate school earn 25% more than those with just their bachelor's. This article helped me realize that if I ever become a teacher, I should advise my students to reach for graduate school, even though students think they might not want to go, because it would still be good to have that information so that in the future nothing gets in the way if they change their minds. It helped me realize that if I ever become a teacher, that I should give my students the necessary information because whether they want it or not. This article made me think differently about graduate school. It made me think that if I ever become a teacher, I should encourage my students to always try their best, and if they change their minds later, at least they have that option. This was a really interesting article and very informative. I think that the researchers did a good job with their research. One thing that I would have done differently would have been to use students as part of their experiments too. They could have used students that needed advising and students who were in graduate school. They could have gotten more precise results if the students that needed advising talked about the difficulties they faced trying to get advising. They could have also talked to students that were already in the graduate program and asked them what they did to get there, how they got their information to be able to reach their goal, and about their successes and failures of how they got to the graduate program. And here are my references.